What's happening, good people? Before any of you totally lose your minds or threaten physical violence, I've actually been tossing around the idea of going to NAMM eventually when I hit a milestone, maybe 5, 10, 20,000 subscribers, who really knows? And I kind of was thinking, is NAMM even still really relevant? And before you go around citing record numbers of attendance and tons of vendors still showing up constantly, we'll get to that in a little bit on why that's really kind of not really a thing. But I remember back in the day always waiting for that next glimpse of NAMM footage from the Tone King or Andertons, or seeing how other brands interact, even the Chapman whole thing, how he used to go to NAMM and was even a persona, demo specialist, things like that.
Hey Orange Dudes, Chappers here. I'm about to play Edith for you.
For decades, NAMM was the place to be. It's really where the industry met the creators and the artists, and it's where even some people became artists themselves or creators themselves just from being product specialists and going there and interacting. And it really was where trends were born and things like that. But it seems that it's kind of almost made itself irrelevant. NAMM seems to be less relevant these days, and it's not because music died.
The music died.
Or gear didn't evolve, even though it's still kind of some could argue that things are just really just being regurgitated into a new little bit of a shinier package or things like that. But I think it's because the industry moved on and NAMM kind of just stayed where it is. I'd like to make this video to explain how NAMM kind of lost its relevance, kind of slowly became disconnected from the modern music world, and what replaced it. To understand why NAMM doesn't really so much matter anymore, you kind of have to understand what it was before and what made it so great. The first thing is the access to either the products or for the creators that are going to be demoing the products was that exclusive access, the greatest, newest thing coming out, which led to also gatekeeping.
Hey, look, man, you don't have to do this. Look, this ain't exactly the Mississippi. I'm on one side, I'm on the other side.
Was kind of you had to be in the know and you had to be part of the crew.
Not the point. The principle of the thing.
To get that type of information. So that's what made those videos that we used to watch back in the day so much more enticing. And there's also, timing too, because it used to be that you would time your product releases or soon to be product releases during the NAMM show. You would say this is coming out Q2, Q3, or this is coming out 2 days after the show ends. Before social media, YouTube, product demos, direct-to-consumer buying, NAMM used to be like the internet. If it didn't happen at NAMM, it really didn't happen. And now with all that stuff, it kind of replaced all that and kind of made it irrelevant. NAMM's biggest enemy actually isn't another trade show, although there are some out there that I'm going to highlight in a little bit. Discussing how they've kind of evolved and took some things that were good about NAMM and just made them that much better. But basically, it was the internet. Today's product launches, gear launches, we've been bombarded by them so much. They happen like that, and there's about 30 videos on a single day of a product launch. So getting that many eyes out there all at once kind of builds more of a fever than the people that are gradually watching that NAMM content. JHS is a great one of actually kind of enhancing that and doing a live stream where there's, you get 250,000 views on just his live stream alone, let alone the videos that drop the following ensuing days. So it's really its own insider NAMM knowledge right there. Also, with the power of the internet too, you really don't need distributors that much anymore. A lot of products you can go direct to buyer. I've bought quite a few pedals from the actual person themselves. It's really actually kind of made it easier to access and not having to get it through some big mass distributor. I mean, a pedal can go viral within 24 hours without even hitting a convention floor anymore. So NAMM was actually built on basically the concept of scarcity of information. And today's music world and information, we're like information overload. So there's so much stuff out there. So it just seems like to fly out to California for some exclusive content doesn't seem like it's too enticing anymore. NAMM, in an essence, sort of actually kind of stopped serving the community that it was based, on, like how, like the impetus of having NAMM. Remember that part was talking about the vendors and the record number of attendance. We're gonna get to that in this section over here. This is the part that people don't really necessarily like to talk about. NAMM doesn't really serve the regular musician or the content creator these days. Most people, they can't afford to attend. They don't get really meaningful interaction with there. And we'll get to that in another section too, about the noise and all that stuff like that. But also a lot of them aren't privy to the backdoor deals and all that stuff that are going on in, the nitty gritty of the actual NAMM. Some creators do like to cite that they get intimate access to the people that they collaborate and work with all year long. But I mean, I never really met anybody that has sent me a piece of gear face to face, but I have actually had, I would think, meaningful conversations. They could just be blowing smoke up my butt. But yeah, the information age of emails and phone calls and all that stuff like that, I feel like that I've definitely had that and didn't have to fly all the way out to California for that. But they are working with much bigger brands that probably don't have time to work with some small little potatoes like me. So I'll give them that one. Instead, NAMM really is like, it's almost like a legacy type of thing where the creators, not the creators, the brands, they don't want to lose like their spot on the shelf, like their spot in the storeroom or anything like that. So they just keep on going out of just the repetition of always constantly doing it. Although you have seen like Fender's not going this year, Fender's going this year, this isn't going this year, this coming back big time this year. So, but for the most part, it's really just, they just keep on going because it's become like the thing to do. Content creators will try to rush out there, and that's part of the reason why I'd like to go, is to be the first one to report on this or report on that. Kind of an obsession, more of a passion. And please don't throw any hate. I mean, if you're doing it because you love to do it, then that's great. But yeah, and it's also kind of a pay to play type of thing where some of the brands, the small brands, are really good. They can't afford a booth there. The more you pay, the better the spot you get. The less you pay, you're going to be stuck next to a water fountain right next to the men's room. Who knows? Well, that actually might be a better one than behind in a closed lounge or something like that where you only get a VIP ticket.
Milton?
Yes.
What's happening?
I wanted to
Say, Milton, you know what would be great?
Wait, no.
For the average consumer and just trying to get by paying rent and going through the daily struggles of life, it doesn't seem like NAMM is too affordable, and it seems like less likely of the party that you want to go to and the party that you just weren't invited to. With those creators and the vendors that are out there, a lot of stuff is a business expense, so you can deduct it off of your taxes.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, sir. There you go. There you go.
That's really why people still, I think, go, because it ain't cheap. It definitely isn't easy access out there in California. And yeah, so I mean, I have stuff here that I use for tax deductions for creating.
Where's all the money? That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs. Go ahead and add it up. Every cent's accounted for.
But I think that's really why most people go, because it's definitely getting a lot more expensive to travel these days.
See this? That's a car. $275,000. Might want to hang on to that one.
It seems like the experience has gotten worse over time, at least from the videos that I've seen. And I can't speak to actually firsthand knowledge, but it's just from like little bits and pieces that I gather from other creators, listening to them during their live streams or their videos, or chatting with them in general in other chats. But it seems like it's gotten louder, and you're constantly being chased by the noise police.
And unfortunately, we've just been told that if we play, they'll shut the booth down. So we're not playing.
Overcrowded to a point where you can't really get so much great footage. And if you do, someone's usually walking right past you, or as a creator, you might not be able to get access because someone's getting their exclusive footage at that time, and you really can't be in their shot, and that might be the only chance that you get to actually take a look at that piece of equipment. I mean, it could be exhausting itself. I hear it's like multi-stories, multi-levels. So if you want to check out this piece of gear and then you forget about this piece of gear over here, you're constantly going back and forth. I think that's why they give you like 3-4 days to do the entire thing. And there's maps and everything like that. So what's over. And logistically, it just seems like it's miserable as far as anywhere that's close to stay is going to be really expensive. And, you know, from what I hear, you can't even like stay across the street. I don't know the area too well, but obviously you're not going to travel across 5 lanes of traffic. So it could take you like 35 minutes to travel 10 miles. With the whole hugeness and the vastness of it, you don't really get to play the gear. You kind of fight to get to it. You don't really get to connect with somebody. You're usually shouting or trying to interrupt somebody. And you don't really discover stuff because you're really just trying to rush it. I remember watching a NAMM production last year, person just walking through, and I said, you know, after a while, like in retrospect, I'm like, did I really get anything out of it? The spotty cell phone service wasn't really all that great. If you didn't get it on the first swipe, you might have missed it, and then you gotta go rewind or catch it back up on a replay. And there's just so much stuff now that I remember like Tone King would like film that and then go back to the hotel room, edit it, and try to get it up right away. And most of the stuff I think was like a day behind, but it still seemed like it was more well put together. But it just seems like such of a rat race to try to do this that I don't know, it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't seem like it's too worth it to me. Comparing that with like an actual 20-30 minute gear demo on YouTube, a couple of them on those product launch days, checking them out after a while, talking actually to creators, you know, via instant messengers, whether it's your Instagram, text messaging, emails. I've spoken to a lot of creators, brands, just you know, on my rinky-dink level here. So, and then also seeing musicians actually use the stuff out live, and how I got back to that whole thing of a different type of NAMM, but something somewhat similar.
And now for something completely different.
Is 42 Gear Street. Henning Poley puts it on every year, and I actually think I enjoy that content way more than the NAMM content. And they have not the huge reach of getting all the products and brands out there, but they get a good core that makes it very interesting. And I would actually love to go there one day, and I'd probably would actually just go for the animals. Here's kind of a tell too that brands really don't so much need NAMM anymore, is that the major brands, they could pretty much do a product release whenever they want and not really time it around NAMM anymore. These launches by these companies, you know, Helix Stadium just did one where they had like, I don't know where they had the conference, but they had a live stream. I think there was like 4,000 people on the live stream. I don't know how many people were in the audience, just talking about the eventual release. And then you had all these videos that came out about it, and still coming out about the Helix Stadium. And going back to the JHS, you know, the Not a Dumble video, I think has 275,000 views at this point. So the brands really have done well for themselves as far as getting the product release out there and not really having to get that information out at NAMM. And they get to skip the expensive cost of the booths. They get to have a YouTube premiere whenever they want. They get to flood your social medias through Instagram. Some of them get a little annoying, like the Enya guitar or the Aeroband guitar, things like that. And like stated before, it's really like the brands really show up because they have to. They feel like they're obligated to. So it no longer became the place to be, but more just like a checkbox. One theory I heard like a while ago was that COVID kind of killed NAMM. And I think we're kind of really past that at this point. I don't think there's people that are avoiding it because of that. I think that COVID did probably expose that it really didn't need it. And it's a multifaceted thing, but I really wasn't into the gear stuff at that time. I was still working the front line, so I really didn't have too much knowledge of how the gear went, but it didn't seem like it fell off the map. The products were still being released, things were still doing collaborations, videos were still being made. And one could argue possibly that there was more of a sense of people wanting to watch this stuff and get into this stuff because they had nothing else to do because they were in their apartments. And I'm not really too sure too about the timing. During COVID, at least I know in New York, we shut down March 23rd, I believe it was. So I believe NAMM was still going around because they were still trying to have people go for the Lunar New Year parades and all that stuff like that. So I don't think we're shut down. And then you're talking about a year later, I think that might have been the NAMM that possibly was canceled. I'm not too sure. But again, I don't think that it killed it. It just actually highlighted that there's other avenues. And maybe that's why we have all these product launches and we have all these premieres today, is because people worked around it and found out that it's not really all that necessary. So in conclusion, what kind of has replaced NAMM is basically all a little bit above is the online communities. We have live streams every Wednesday, and we have sometimes 50, 60 people showing up for a small channel like this. But you could have a premiere with 60 Cycle, Hum, or Landon Bailey, or all these other creators, and they could have 2,000 to 3,000 people on and just chatting during that. So the artist relations with brands really seem like they have picked up. I'm at I would say the little man tier, and you see a lot of some of the similar creators and some that actually have a little bit more subscriber count than me. We're doing the same type of product demos, so it definitely seems like they're branching out and working with all types of creators out there to give you actually true, honest opinions. You have the smaller focused events like pedal shows and 42 Gear Street. Sweetwater does their Gear Fest, and I'm sure there's plenty more out there too. And then you have like real conversations with industry leaders. You have PRS does things. Friedman does live streams. You have Rev that does live streams. You have Dr. Scientist that does live streams. So you have contact with these people that really isn't kind of like gatekeeped to just strictly to creators anymore. The whole advent of music and spreading it is decentralized and trying to get out there, where NAMM has really always been kind of like the central focal point. So it's counterintuitive to our art, our craft of trying to reach global when they kind of, just are centralized. They're not evil, it's just that they sort of outdated. And in an industry that thrives upon creativity and fostering, outdated is like one of the worst things possible. So ultimately, I mean, for NAMM to survive, it's not gonna get bigger. It really needs to kind of get smaller, more human, and maybe possibly more frequent to connect with people on a regular basis. This could have been just a totally complete rambling, didn't make any sense. You probably agreed with some of it, didn't agree with it, but let me know in the comment section what you thought about. Do you plan on going to NAMM? Do you still watch NAMM coverage? Yeah. If you don't, and you have some other stuff out there, leave a comment down below as well. I'd like to check out other stuff to see what's out there. You've all been a fantastic audience, and as always, stay tuned.